Hi. Settled in okay? I've been getting to know the new team and the facilities. I reckon there's a lot of potential here. Anyway, I'll see you in the garage, okay?
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode. And here we are for the start of Season 2, episode number 21 of the F1 2017 career mode. And you can clearly see we have changed teams from the end of Season 1. We're now all in yellow for Renault F1 team. Yes, if you did miss the last episode, episode number 20, be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. At the end of that, of course, we got our contract offers for the end of the season. I was hoping, being a Toro Rosso driver, Red Bull Junior team, that we would be making a step up to Red Bull for Season 2. Many times we outscored Max Verstappen at races. We were only, I think, 2 points behind him in the standings for last season, and yet Christian Horner did not offer us a seat. And for me, in my eyes, there was no way we could stay at Toro Rosso. We'll go to Renault. Renault were technically just above Toro Rosso in the actual pecking order for the car performance. You can see here the progress history on the left-hand side. If you look close enough, Renault actually made a steady improvement to the point where they nearly were on level with Force India. And if you look at the R&D tree, I'm actually feeling very good about this decision now, because you can see chassis-wise, we are the best of the rest below Toro Rosso, and you can see maybe one upgrade in, and we could be beating Toro Rosso for the chassis, because Renault upgraded 5 different times over the course of Season 1 for their chassis, as well as you can see on the left-hand side right now, some efficiency upgrades as well for how their chassis department performs. But you can see on the right-hand side, we're just below Toro Rosso, which was one of the strongest points of the car, was the fact that it had a great chassis. We didn't need to do anything to it. Aerodynamics-wise, that was where Toro Rosso kind of lacked a little bit. Renault were pretty damn good, and now you can see on the chart we're ahead of Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso is still the third worst team, and Renault have upgraded this car 3 times in the aerodynamics department. And then we come to engine, probably the only major weakness compared to Toro Rosso right now. We've only done 2 upgrades, or I should say Renault have only done 2 upgrades in Season 1. I think that's going to be the place where we start, that and reliability potentially, but you look at it, 1 or 2 upgrades, and we'll be level with Toro Rosso and Red Bull Racing on power, and then we're pretty damn golden because the rest of the car's looking pretty good. Reliability, Renault actually surprisingly didn't do any reliability upgrades, so as I said, that may be something we consider in the opening few rounds, depending on how the internal combustion engine wears out. That one component of the engine was always the tricky one from last season, so I feel like that's where we need the attention. But of course, we start with a clean slate now, 4 brand new gearboxes for the season, and 4 brand new components for each part of the engine. So we're getting straight into this and getting used to our brand new yellow surroundings here in Renault. I'm pretty excited, actually. Just, it's going to feel fresh in a brand new car. And as I said, the fact we didn't get the step up to Red Bull, which I feel like I really thought we would have got the offer, because Red Bull, the reputation level was so high there. It was not matching Renault's, but it was so high. So I really thought we would have got an offer. Unfortunately, we did not. So we go about our business in practice in the Renault for the first time in this Season 2 of the career mode. You can see on the top, we've got 50 out of 50 for every single practice program there. Smashed it with pure efficiency. And then we get met with our brand new rival, which is going to be Romain Grosjean, which is quite fitting, actually, because right in the last race, we were fighting Grosjean hammer and tong for the entire Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So I think it's pretty fitting that we end up with him as our first rival. Surprised, actually, though, because I wasn't fully expecting it to be a kind of case of, okay, classic, it'll be your teammate. And then before we get into qualifying, just a funny thing to note, look at the reputation now for Toro Rosso. They absolutely hate us. Red Bull still like us. They're actually the best team now for reputation that we have. But Toro Rosso now hate our guts, which I don't get. Yes, I may have severed my ties with them, but I got you bloody 4th place in the Constructors, and that's how you want to play it. So, alright, fair enough. So, we're going to go straight away and change to the second component for every single engine part. Of course, last season, we did that a little bit later on, like, a few rounds in, where I was basically using the older components for practice and then putting in a new one for quali in the race. We're going to do that from the get-go. So, number 1, across the board, is going to be our practice engine, and we're going to try and eke out as much as we can from that kind of one row set of engine components before we move on to the other rows. Obviously, we did have to take 1 set of grid penalties in last season for a 5th number for every single column. This time round, let's see how far we can go. I think last time we ended up taking it at Spa. We could have technically taken it at Hungary. So let's see if we can actually try and maybe beat that reliability record. Who knows? I've seen a few other career modes in Renault where it's not gone so well, and some others where it has. So it's going to be interesting. Let's get straight into qualifying then. The first real test for this brand new Renault car.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
So diving straight into qualifying and diving into Q1 actually, because this time round for Season 2 we do have full qualifying on for the entirety of the season. We'll have it because for Season 2 really I think we'll be focusing less so on the practice programs and just all the kind of extra stuff that comes with the practice programs in the game, because obviously after a while, you know, after we've done one season, you've seen what the routine is. You don't necessarily need to see it in the video. I can just do that off camera and do all the practice programs and try and earn the points for the video's sake. I think just to beef it out a little bit at the very beginning before we get straight into the race. Full qualifying is a great way to do that, and obviously a lot of you guys were pretty vocal throughout Season 1 about wanting to see the whole sequence of Q1, Q2, Q3, which obviously does open up the whole thing of obviously the F1 drivers start on the tyres they qualified in Q2. So it does open us up to some different unique kind of tactics and strategies in qualifying. But you can see here we're in Q1 at the moment. Our first flying lap was okay, a little bit scruffy here and there, and definitely trying to get to grips with the Renault, driving it for the first time in anger really here. Obviously in practice you don't really, you know, thrash it around. So we came in 14th place. Nico qualified in 8th place in Q1, so that does get us through just on the bubble, 2 places ahead of Carlos Sainz, our old teammate, who actually got knocked out in Q1. So things are going great in the Toro Rosso world. I'm loving life right now in the Renault world. It's feeling like a really good car actually. I thought I was a little bit worried. I'm going to be honest about how the car may have felt, because on F1 2016 cars definitely did feel very, very different car to car, especially in the midfield, and sometimes it was very tricky going from different cars to cars. But really the Renault felt very similar to the Toro Rosso in some aspects, better in some ways through the corners because of the better aerodynamics, and really just the only place where I was losing time was perhaps the straights, but you don't really notice that, of course, do you? So we've come across the line in Q2 to qualify in 8th place, and no dramas there, and you would have noticed we actually qualified on a set of super soft tyres, because I went for it. I thought I'd take the gamble, and the gamble worked. Nico Hülkenberg only qualified in 11th place. Very unlucky to be fair to him. He was very, very close to getting into Q3 along with me, but a very, very close stuff between myself and Nico in terms of lap time, but thrashed that car around on the super soft tyres, and along with Max Verstappen and a few of the other front runners managed to get through to Q3, the top 10 shootout on super softs, which means we will start on the super soft tyres. And you can see here we're doing our Q3 lap time, a little bit wide on the exit of that corner. Generally an okay lap though, and I felt it was pretty decent enough to maybe get around the same place we were in Q2. Obviously maximum fuel, lowest fuel you can set. Obviously remember, always do that in the setup. Sometimes the game defaults to about 9 laps of fuel, so be sure to do that if you're still not checking that, by the way. But we come across the line anyway, and it's going to be P8, the same place we qualified in Q2 for the starting grid. So P8 on super soft tyres. I think this is going to be a really, really fun first race for Renault here. I think this is going to be a really good strategy. We're going to be able to do the one stop here, technically. So I'm really kind of just rubbing my hands, licking my lips, all the kind of analogies for this race. Let's get straight into it.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton and Massa, Verstappen and Renault, Grosjean and Lance Stroll, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Sergio Perez and Kvyat, Ocon, Sainz, Fernando Alonso and Stoffel van Dorn, Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are, slotted into P8 for our grid slot ahead of the Australian Grand Prix and ready for our first race for Renault F1. You can see the strategy is going to be that one stop we talked about from qualifying. We qualified on the super soft tyres in Q2, therefore we must start on this set of tyres in the top 10. So we're going to do the one stop. It looks like our engineers are really underfueling our car initially. We're going to just bump that up a little bit more so there's a little bit less fuel to actually save, because I remember from last year that was also an issue that the engineers, at Australia at least, kind of overestimated how much fuel fuel I could save around the race. But we're going to get going to 5 red lights for round number 1 of Season 2. Here we go. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway here. And initially, it's a good getaway, but then we bog down a tad as we climb up the gears. It's been a great start there for Felipe Massa. He goes down the inside of Ricciardo and Hamilton. We lock up on the right tyres. We go very aggressive into turn 1, pouncing on Max Verstappen down his inside, and also Lewis Hamilton. We go wheel to wheel with Hamilton. It's been a very, very poor qualifying and start to the race for the reigning world champion. Remember, he did win the championship in Season 1, so the reigning world champion bogging down quite a bit as his teammates out there in the lead as the 2 Ferrari cars go side by side up ahead of us. We're going side by side. Meanwhile, with Daniel Ricciardo very, very close up through the flat out right hand. We just about left him enough room. We had to go over the curbing a little bit to make sure we did, and then we take to the racing line to kind of cover him off and try to cover off any dives he could potentially make. Obviously, we know how good Ricciardo can be on the dives. As we move on to lap 2 now, you can see though on the top left, Hamilton is overtaken Ricciardo, so slowly but surely Hamilton's probably going to be coming back into this race. Yellow flags though as Kimi Raikkonen is out of this Grand Prix, parked up on the left hand side there. Now confirmation on that graphic screen, he's out of this Grand Prix. 19 runners left, and we're up into P4 now by lap 2. Massa in P3, and it's Bottas and Vettel in P1 and P2, but we made a mistake. We've locked up, and so Hamilton now has a really good chance to maybe make a move into the high-speed chicane. We know how good that Mercedes car is going to be. He's going to try and go around the outside on the right-hand side. We're going to go to the inside. It's going to be very, very close. We have to brake a little bit early to leave him in the room. We're going to try effectively a bit of a switchback move on him to try and get the speed. It's going to be difficult, though. Renault v Mercedes power. We just can't do it on the left-hand side. We're going to fake to the left, go to the right, down the inside, tap tyres a little bit. We've lost the back end, though. We've got the power down way too quickly there. Little mistake from me. Loss in concentration on the exit of the corner. Now Ricciardo has got us, and Verstappen. Verstappen parks the bus a little bit through that right-hander, so we go dive down the inside of the man I thought I was going to take his race car seat, to be honest. I really did think so. So we go side by side with him on the exit. We're going to be very, very aggressive with the man who I thought was going to take his race car seat. I'm a little bit bitter, so we're going to go very aggressive to the left, to the right, then go to the left to the racing line, take the break point, and we're good for lap 3. And we've managed to keep ahead of at least one of the Red Bull racing cars this afternoon so far. And Lance Stroll has managed to overtake Verstappen as well, and that's going to help us out for sure, I think, because from Season 1 we know Stroll definitely does like to kind of park the bus a little bit ahead of his fellow drivers, so that's going to give us a bit of breathing room. Onto lap 5 at the end of it, towards lap 6, so you can see on the mini-map some drivers into the pit, so we all go up the order now. Of course, we're going longer than anyone on Ultra Softs. Massa there going to soft tyres, you can see briefly on the top left. Stroll behind us on Ultra Softs. We lock up a tad into turn 1, so trying to just do the best we can, but making a few little mistakes here and there. Generally now at the moment, because we've got this breathing room with Stroll still parking the bus on the entire train, you can see on the minimap, basically just trying to save fuel at this stage, lifting, coasting through these corners. And now we move on all the way to lap 11 now, so quite some way into the Grand Prix. We've just been doing our business really and just trying to save as much fuel as possible, because we were -1 plus on the delta for in terms of fuel. So you can see now onto lap 12, we're being pressurized by Sergio Perez into turn 1. He's unable to make a pass at the moment, but he has DRS. He has a second bite of DRS here, so we've lost some time to Perez, and my teammate Hulkenberg now trying to save this fuel, and so it's just kind of the ebb and flow of the Grand Prix. So at the moment, Perez is trying to make the move. We lock up though very badly on the right tyre, trying to go defensive. Has not worked out for us because Perez switchbacks us. We go side by side. We just about managed to squeeze him out there and keep heading through the flat right hander. You can just see he tucks in behind between myself and the other Renault. So he's in a Renault sandwich really between me and Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's done well to kind of close back up to us. Obviously, as I mentioned, you can see still on negative fuel, but now the tyres start to wear out. 42% on most of them there, and so by the end of the lap, I think actually it's time to ditch these set of boots and get a brand new spanking new ones of soft tyres and go to the end of this race. So the super softs definitely did start to lose some performance there. At the same time, we're just about going to save enough fuel probably as we come through. Probably the next few laps after we come out of the pits will probably be fine, and all fine to maybe use some rich mix even. So we know from last year the Toro Rosso worked really well in rich mix when we actually had the possibility to do so. So really, actually in hindsight, maybe should have overfueled the car a tad and really pushed hard on rich mixture rather than having to do so much fuel saving, which I pretty much did for about 6 laps from lap 5 to lap 11. It was all just lifting and coasting really. So that was how Perez and Hulkenberg were able to catch up. And you can see we just come out ahead though of Lance Stroll, but you can see he's so much closer now to where he was initially. So that's the time we've lost there kind of visually. But now we move on lap 13. You can see Max Verstappen having a bit of an issue with Marcus Ericsson, just gets past him there down the inside after the long back straight. So can we try and hopefully make a bit of an easier move on Ericsson? He's on super soft tyres, so I think he's there from the start. So yes, That is actually exactly what I wanted. He comes to the pits at the exact right time. I don't even need to get bogged down with any dirty air from the Sauber car, and so we can continue on lap 14 and just go about our business. And up ahead looks like a few Gagala cars maybe fighting as well, so this may be a good opportunity for us to close up on some cars if they go slowly battling one another. And Verstappen already got held up before by the Sauber, but this time looks like he'll go down the inside and won't get held up so much by the McLaren. It looks like Stoffel Van Dorn. He goes round the outside, sorry, actually he'll turn to the inside for the next left-hander though. He squeezed Van Dorn out very, very easily, so now let's try and catch up and kind of size up the difference between the Renault and the McLaren. Obviously not in terms of power, just pure downforce. I want to try and see on the actual chart, because the McLaren car is definitely very handy in the corners, but then you can see just here as we climb up the gears now, it's all a bit too easy now, cruising up to the back of Van Dorn. We'll duck to the right hand side. He's going to go to left for the main racing line. Even on super soft tyres, we do get the move done just about. We do lock up on the right front tyre and just about keep it off the grass there. So we've already had a few issues into that corner with the Renault compared to this time last time for season 1 in the Toro Rosso, not so much. So maybe that's something we have to be a little bit wary of for later on in the season. The Renault maybe not as great on the brakes perhaps. Maybe that's something I need to tweak in the setup. For sure, the car has felt pretty damn comfortable actually in the first race in it. I was kind of very worried, as I mentioned in qualifying, very, very worried about how I would react to the Renault handling compared to the Toro Rosso, but it seems to be pretty okay. And you can see Hulkenberg just comes out behind us and immediately onto lap 18. He's already on the back of us now. He's on a set of super soft tyres, remember, so he's basically just doing the opposite of what we're doing in terms of race strategy. And Hulkenberg has gone very aggressive round the outside of turn 1. He's got the second part of the cherry for DRS, and so he's got us. And so at the moment, fair and square, beaten by Hulkenberg. Let's try and see if we can do anything though in the latter stages of this race. Of course, we are on the harder compound of tyres compared to him, but I do get this kind of feeling. I don't know if anyone else has this in the comments below. Maybe you can let me know. I do feel like sometimes I drive a lot better and concentrate a lot more when I'm right behind a car, and that definitely was the case right now, because on to lap 21 now, a couple laps later, myself and Hulkenberg have both been catching Romain Grosjean up ahead in the Haas. Obviously, he's my rival, so it's great that we're catching him to try and overtake him, but I've just gained a lot more pace by following Hulkenberg, really, and just kind of using him as a little bit of a tow guide. Obviously, we're getting DRS off him as well, which is helping. But now, as a virtual safety car is called out, Grosjean did come into the pits there, so we're going to be well ahead of him now. And so at the moment, we're in a very lofty 5th place. Hulkenberg in 4th, of course, and we're going to the end of this race, both of us. So really, it's a case of are the faster cars going to be coming, and how quick are they going to be coming at us? We've got Kevin Magnussen right behind us. He's the next car down the line, but then I haven't seen any sight of any Mercedes cars or Red Bull or Ferrari, really. And if we're P4 and P5, that means there's only a maximum of 3 cars of those top flight guys up there. Of course, there's one less Ferrari car, as Raikkonen came out of the Grand Prix, but I haven't seen any Red Bull yet in this race. So it looks like at the moment they're struggling for pace in this race. As we move on to lap 23, though, there are only a couple of laps left in this race, trying to make a move on Hulkenberg now, as I've got enough fuel to maybe use some rich mix in certain areas of the track. I need to save fuel in other parts, but down here, down the back straight, as we go towards high-speed chicane, trying on the right-hand side, it's very, very close stuff. We tap tyres. Hulkenberg just about gave us enough room there. I lift off to give him the room on the outside. It's almost like Hulkenberg didn't know I was coming on the right-hand side there, so that was very, very close. And it's kind of heart in your mouth stuff there when you get so close to the wall and tapping tyres on the left-hand side. But now, in the same place we tried before, this time we go so much deeper to try the move and try and force Hulkenberg's hand to give us enough room. We go around the outside, it'll turn to the inside for the next flat-out corner. He's still fully alongside us, so we lift off quite a lot to try and give him the room. Of course, he's our teammate as well, so we have to give him that extra inch of respect to him. And he's still trying his best to hang it around the outside. In the end, though, we get the traction down 4th gear and just about squirm away from his front end. So that was very, very tight stuff there with our teammate. But now, with only about 4 laps to go, as the sun comes down here in Australia, I'm hoping that there's going to be a bit more of a calmer Grand Prix. Although, as I say that, we move on to the very next lap, lap 26. Hulkenberg round the outside cleanly. Although we've got a switchback move, we've got the traction down, just like we did on Lewis Hamilton, but even more so, because obviously it's against our teammates, so we have a bit of a better chance in a straight line. We've got the move done, but now Magnussen has come out of nowhere to try and take our place. He's not done so successfully. He's taken Hulkenberg's, though, and he's now found himself in a Renault sandwich. So Magnussen being very, very cheeky, obviously just like I tried with Verstappen and Van Dorn, using our battle, catching us napping pretty much down that back straight, and he did so to Hulkenberg. We just about managed to squeeze him out and stay ahead for 4th place. And so with only 1 lap to go in this race, Magnussen may try one last attempt on the last lap of the Grand Prix, as Sebastian Vettel has come through to win the Australian Grand Prix. Will Magnussen try around the outside? No, don't think so. Just about keep ahead of him in the brake zone as we go down the back straight one final time. This may be Magnussen's only chance now with that Ferrari-powered Haas. We go defensive to the inside. He tries and pokes around the outside. Not going to be any use, and I think we should be able to now see this through. Only a couple of corners left to bring home what should be a fantastic 4th place here, and Hulkenberg, remember, is still there in what will be 6th place, so that's going to be an amazing finish for Renault in the first race of Season 2. You got to say it, guys, I think this is looking like a very, very positive move to the Renault F1 team. I weave about because I'm very, very happy with that. That is absolutely awesome. 4th place, amazing job, amazing job. Hulkenberg's done great as well in 6th place. That's a really, really solid double points paying position to kick off the season. And yeah, like I said, I mean, any kind of doubts that I had, maybe you guys had about going to Renault, I think this race, I was surprised myself at the great performance both of us did. It wasn't just a case of me dragging the car up. Hulkenberg was legitimately there. We just about got him in the dying stage of that race, and it could have been even 4th and 5th if K-Mag didn't kind of ruin that party. And we finished well and truly ahead of Grosjean, our rival, as well. So really, really positive first race that is. That's given me a big old smile for the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to it now, because you always have those few jitters when you go to a new team, like, is it going to be the right choice? Are we going to go backwards? Yes, you know, technically Renault were higher in the pecking order, but you saw time and time again we're able to outpace the Renault guys in that Toro Rosso. But now they're nowhere. Well, I say nowhere. They're still sort of there with the double points finish themselves, but in terms of on track, we didn't really even see them, whereas I saw Nico plenty of times in that last part of that race. Sebastian Vettel, though, wins the Australian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton way down the order, scoring no points. The reigning world champion scoring 0 in the first race of the season. Very, very surprising. And it's Vettel with the luck this time. Raikkonen, who got generally a little bit luckier last season, out of this race. And you can see there, that just feels amazing. Renault, 2nd place. How do you like that? How do you like that? That's going to prove any of the doubters wrong. 2nd place after the first race. That's going to be pretty good for the PR and for all the sponsors, I would say, back at the home base. But now, looking at the R&D tree, we haven't earned enough to get a full upgrade, because obviously most of those cost 1,000 at the very start. We've only got just over 500. We have to start from 0, remember, because we went to a new team. So you start from 0. So in that case, I thought, let's get it over and done with. Let's start improving the durability. I did this in Toro Rosso. I was adamant I wouldn't have to, but then I got proved wrong, and I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. So I thought straight away, let's do the durability upgrade, because you know what? Actually, the performance on the engine wasn't too bad. I didn't feel like we lacked too much straight line speed compared to other cars. Yes, against K-Mag, he was very, very close, but all in all, I think it was okay. And with some low wings maybe in China, I think we can do pretty damn good down the straight. So we went for reliability instead. That'll make a big difference for the internal combustion engine wear. So that's how we're going to do things. So moving on upwards, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, guys. I hope you guys are. Smash that like button for this first episode of Season 2, episode number 21 overall of the career mode. Let me know what you guys thought of the race in the comments below, and hit that like button if you are looking forward to this upcoming season with Renault. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for this upcoming season. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.